Hello, listeners. This is Lee Price,
This is Will Ford from Football 365.
and you're listening smartly to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast, although I would describe it as the Chelsea FC podcast.
Magical from Eden Hazard. Kai Havertz in the Champions League final. Ivanovic! In the middle, it's just behind him. But it's tapped in by Hakim Ziyech. Matic with the ball driver. Matic takes the net off.
It's time for another episode of At the Bridge Pod, your number one Chelsea FC podcast. Coming up on this episode.
So I know exactly why you're tuning in today. You want to know the deep analysis on our thoughts on that tough brushing thing that happened. Oh, welcome back everyone to another episode of At the Bridge Pod. I'm joined in the virtual room filled with lions. I've got Ollie, I've got Chris, and I need to know what your highlights were from the last 2 days, otherwise known as the weekend.
I don't really have all that much to talk about as opposed to normal one. I'm just absolutely flush with stories. I was looking after my fiance this weekend because she was unwell. That's more or less all I did. So I guess that's my highlight, as weird as it sounds.
What about you, Chris?
I'll carry on the ill theme, the unwell theme. Yeah, I got the flu over the weekend. This is the first time ever I'm recording this podcast in bed. That's how ill I've been.
Damn.
Yeah, so not a great weekend, but Chelsea won, so it could have been worse.
That is a fair point. I can't disagree there. I mean, for me, my highlight, I was really trying for football, and then I just thought, fuck it, I'll just go with what everyone expects.
There it is.
There it is, my NFL bell, because one of my final sandwich proposition that I had at the beginning of the season came in, and that was for the 7th seed in the wildcard to finally win a game. So thank you very much, Green Bay Packers, for beating the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm a happy man. What we're going to do, we're going to hit some news. Well, first up, Chelsea's women. They were back in action from that winter break and they took on West Ham in the FA Cup. So here is the match report. Emma Hayes fielded a formidable lineup as Chelsea hosted West Ham at Kingsmeadow. It featured Misevic in goal and a back four comprising of Eve Pirisette, Jess Carter, Kadisha Buchanan and Ashley Lawrence. Sophie Ingle captained the team alongside Erin Cuthbert in midfield. Gura Wrighton, Lauren James and Johanna Wrighton-Cannerid formed the attacking trio, supporting Frank Kirby. New signing Natalie Bjorn was named among the substitutes after a recent move from Everton. So, the New Year's opener began with Chelsea donning the traditional blue home strip, whilst West Ham sported their claret and blue. Despite a couple of early opportunities, West Ham surprised us all by taking the lead on 17 minutes with a goal from Asai. The Blues looked for that equaliser, but the first half just concluded with frustration, with West Ham keeping that narrow lead. The second half kicked off. Chelsea intensified their efforts to turn the game around, and it was a triple sub by Hayes, injecting that fresh energy, really, because we got Mia Fishel coming on, Leupolz, and the debutant Bjorn. Fishel eventually levelled the score on the 70th minute with a powerful finish, igniting a huge celebration from the home fans. Despite persistent efforts, though, a winner was elusive in regular time, leading to those 30 extra minutes of extra time. 10 minutes into this period, Erin Cuthbert's headed goal gave Chelsea the lead for the first time, and the team continued to dominate, securing a 2-goal advantage with a well-crafted goal involving Leupolz, Beaver Jones and Nushkin. So, Chelsea controlled the final parts of extra time, securing a triumphant win in the Women's FA Cup. Despite that initial setback, we showed resilience, we showed determination, and I feel it set a positive tone as we head up into the upcoming fixtures. Well, Chelsea 3, West Ham 1. It was an extra time victory against a quite tough West Ham side. Chris, what were your thoughts on that game, that derby game?
Looked like we'd had a break, I think would be fair. Wasn't a very fluid performance. Something just doesn't feel quite right this season at the minute. Like areas of the pitch just aren't really gelling together. Defensively, we've been suspect for most of the season, especially since Bright got injured. And that carried on. The goal we conceded was awful. I mean, a long ball off a deep free kick straight through the middle. And I think Mustovic has got to do better with the save as well. But got the job done. And cup games, it's all about getting through in it. And we did that. Something that I did think was highlighted in this game was a problem I have with Lauren James. And she is unbelievably talented. Like, she's arguably one of the most, if not the most talented female footballer on the planet. But she plays the game at walking pace. There's no intensity to her game, and I think that's what she's really lacking. I think that's what's really holding her back from being the player that she could be. Because with her talent, if she could be more consistent, play with a little bit higher energy, she could win a Ballon d'Or. Like, she's that good. But yeah, this game, she just played at walking pace. Every time she got the ball, she slowed it down so much. And she had a really good chance right at the end of the first half as well, where she did all the hard work and she just got to roll it in the corner. And she blasted it and it went out the stadium. I think it was that high. I just think with Kerr being injured now, James has really got to step up. And I think one of the things she's got to improve on is the pace that she plays the game at.
I've got on my notes that Lauren James frustrated me a bit in the game because I can see your point with what you've just made, exactly. But to add on to it, took shots when it would have been better to play in a teammate. Oh, there was so many. I was like, after one's fine. Two, it's all right. Three, oh, come on.
Three is João Felix level, and we don't want that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like, but hey, positives. Mia Fishel, beautiful goal, hold up play, and turn to finish. Oh, great. I mean, to be fair, the whole game was more intense than I expected it to be. You know, no disrespect to the cup, but I just didn't expect it from an FA Cup early game. But I cannot tell you, if you haven't seen the game, listeners, how damn good Fishel was after she came on. You know, the goal was outstanding. Link-up play which was crucial throughout the whole game. And an extra little positive was Bjorn. Great debut. Yeah. I was really chuffed. I was like, a new signing from Everton. Yay.
Another good signing. Experienced in the WSL as well, which I think is helpful.
Another good goal from Cuthbert as well. Always really nice to see that.
Yes,
100%. And Beaver Jones making an impact again, getting the assist for the third.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we're going to be relying on her goal scoring, especially now Kerr's out for the season.
Yeah.
So it's
and Mia Fishel's going to be important.
Yeah.
It's good that she's got a new contract now.
We're not sure officially, are we? I don't think that's official. But
I don't think it's it might not be official,
but
I think it's all but done, I would have thought.
Hopefully. You know, both for player and club. So yeah. The other game of the weekend, which means we're bringing in a match report sponsored by Raheem Sterling. Why? Because he has won 26 penalties in the Premier League, and that is the most in the competition's history. Chelsea 1, Fulham 0. Which does mean we have winners, which is always lovely on a Monday. I did have 3, which is, you know, it was a bit of a meh game, but still. I'll go to Wally. Who was a winner for you on that game?
Well, I've actually got 4 winners from that game, which I originally didn't expect to have. But my first winner is this is one of my little winners. My little winner is Willian. Because I thought he got a really, really nice reception from the fans. He seemed to be treated really well. He had a little interview before the game where he was talking about his kids and stuff and how they're Chelsea fans. It just he came off really well. Wasn't the biggest fan of us cheering him during the game.
I'm with you there.
Just because I feel like our players need the support more than our ex ones, but. Even still, it was really nice to see that he got a good reception because he deserved it. I
mean, imagine if he scored and we just celebrate.
Yeah.
But okay, it's a bit too much now. Come on, it's being nice, but come on. To be fair, I mean, I'm so sorry, Chris, because he's just said Willian, and I'm going to say Enzo Fernandez. But there's a reason we don't want you to be upset. But look, genuinely, Enzo was out there ripping it up against Fulham. I mean, I was really impressed. Noticeable,
a decent game. Go on.
pulling the strings like the quarterback. You know, I don't know if it's because he was feeling better or if Potter just sort of tweaked the tactics, but whatever it was, please keep doing more of what you did against Fulham, because if we're going to start winning matches, we need that, you know. And looking back on the game, I had a bit of a time, literally 5-10 minutes ago. I kind of feel it was perhaps tactical, but it's purely because since he's come back from his injury, it sort of feels like his role sort of changed, where he's doing more of that press breaking from the back. That used to be what Caicedo was, but Enzo seems to have stepped up. What did you think, Chris, of Enzo?
I thought he was good. I mean, I don't think he was as good as people are saying. Well, I'll come on to it when we do losers, but yeah,
No.
I thought he was the best of the three on the day.
Yeah,
I do you know what? I do agree with you, and that leads in well to another one of my winners, one of my proper ones, which actually was the midfield pivot. Like, not just Enzo and Caicedo together, because I thought they had between themselves, they had a really strong game. And it didn't feel right to single out one over the other, but they were doing everything they were supposed to do in the game. The midfield and the defense in this game was actually very good.
I mean, for me, on the Enzo thing, I just feel that when he's at his best, it's when he's driving that ball across the halfway line and just setting up the quick transition. That's what we need him to keep doing. And I really hope that, you know, fitness stays good and the tactics stay consistent, and that we keep seeing that Enzo, because we need that Enzo. You know, 100% we need it. Chris, who's a winner for you?
I'll get the obvious one out of the way, Cole Palmer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Obviously, he's had better games, I think, than this one for us, but he was still our best player. And I think it says something where almost all of our attacks now go through him. And you can see that everyone in the team now almost wants to give him the ball every time they've got it. They want to get him on the ball as much as possible. And
they've got confidence in him.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot about a player of his age to come into a team like ours and do that straight away. And he seems to be thriving in that responsibility, though. And I think he recovered really well from the poor game he had against Middlesbrough, which I think was massive, because we've seen Chelsea attackers before be good and then have one, you know, Middlesbrough type game, and then you don't.
And then they never play well again.
Yeah, but that was just Palmer was just completely different. I thought he really wanted to go out there and prove that was a one-off, and he did. Everything he did on the day was good, and he looked like the only way we was going to win the game was through him.
There was a couple really nice touches Palmer did. There was one where like it came like sort of over behind him, and he did almost like a scorpion kick to touch it up high in the air, and then passed it through to. Yeah. I think it was either Sterling or Nkunku or Bray or something. I can't remember. But it was a very, very nice touch. And he looks like a player who's playing with confidence as well. And, you know, because he's trying that stuff. And I don't think there's anyone else in our team who would try anything like that at the moment.
I mean, the difference between Borough and Fulham was, you know, apart from the league, which I know people are saying, but, you know, he was on the right wing after obviously playing it up front against Borough. And he just looked more comfortable in that position.
Player plays well in his position.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, imagine. I sort of imagine
Pochettino, if he listened to this show, he would be like, "What?"
Actually, Levi Colwill is a great left back. No, he's not, Poch. He's a good centre back. Play him there. I'll give. You know, Ollie's had two winners, and Chris had one. Go for your second winner, Chris.
Colwill, actually.
One of mine as well.
I thought, and I've been very critical of Colwill, but I thought in this game he was actually really good. Still at left back. I think the difference in this game was he actually played like a left back. So when there was the chance to overlap and get forward, he actually did, which I actually think did help us in terms of building attacks, because it gave Fulham something different to think about on that side, rather than every attack having to go down the right. defended really well, used the ball well. I don't think he did a lot wrong, really, which is a massive step up from his recent performances, because in the past few games he's been really poor. So it was nice to see him have a decent game.
I do have a theory for Colwill as to why Poch is playing him out of position, because I wonder if because he knows he's so young, if he's trying to sort of give him some experience of being like defending in the Premier League, but in a position where actually if you lose the ball, or if you're a centre back and you lose the ball, it's a disaster. If you're a left back and you lose the ball, it's a bit less of a disaster. Like there's less pressure on that position with defensive mistakes and things. And I just wonder if that's helping him and helping him be a bit more well-rounded in his game. It's the only reason I could think of that Poch has like persisted with this for so long. But Colwill had a brilliant game, Colwill. He had something like his pass accuracy wasn't brilliant in the game. I think it was only about 75%, but 10 ball recoveries, 8 ground duels won, 6 out of 6 tackles won, 6 clearances, 3 interceptions, 3 long balls completed, and 2 dribbles. Like, what more could you ask for, really? That is a pretty complete performance front to back.
I think with Colwill as well, I do think the experience of playing left back, if he does move back to centre back in the future, it will help him as a centre back. Because if you know what your left back should be doing, then it will help. He'll be able to help the left back through the game. He'll be able to defend better in those wide areas. Because centre back, the thing is with centre backs now, they have to be good in wide areas. They have to be able to defend in right back and left back areas, because fullbacks now don't play like fullbacks used to. They spend more time as wingers. So the centre backs now have to be good in fullback positions. So I do think it will help him in the long run. I just think in the short term, it's not really helping the team.
I'll throw in. I've got a quick fire win as a winner, just because there were some players that I just didn't want to miss out and not mention, if I'm honest. That includes Cole Palmer. Obviously, Chris touched on it. Another beauty, a calm penalty, absolutely incredible. Petrovic, key stops, and wow, we got a top goalkeeper we have in him, and we predicted it in the summer with our scout report. Caicedo as well, quietly just doing his job, great. Colwill again, much better than against Borough. And my Lion Gusto, he had a solid performance. He could have had an early sending off, but for some reason VAR just went, not a red card today. I don't know why. Don't really matter.
That one was more of a red card than the one he was sent off for earlier in the season.
This is why they say they even them out over the course of a season.
Yeah, maybe they do.
We let you. Ollie, who's your final winners?
My final winner, singular, is a man you just mentioned, Petrovic. Actually really saved us in the game, kept us in it. Didn't have a massive amount to do, but when he was called upon, he really sprung into action. Made I think it was in the first half, made one really, really good save where I thought we were guaranteed to concede. And in the second half, he made a handful that were a bit more comfortable as well. But overall, you can really only judge a keeper on if the ball goes in the net, and if no ball goes in the net, then they've had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He didn't have a great deal to deal with over 90
But when
minutes.
he did, I thought he did a really good job.
Well,
the thing is with Petrovic, he was like picking the right thing to do as well. Like what we've seen with Sanchez quite a lot is oftentimes, for example, if he wants to come out and play sort of the sweeper game, Petrovic seems to make the right decision on who or where to pass to. Whereas Sanchez was really struggling with that. And then you throw on top the fact that Petrovic seems to be at least a decent to good shot stopper. And hopefully when Sanchez is back fit, I don't think he should have his place back.
Well, no, I 100% agree with that. 100%. You know, you earn your spot, you keep your spot.
I think with Petrovic as well, he reminds me of early years Courtois. Like he's not pulling off the spectacular camera saves that are going to get you on a highlight reel, but he does all the basics really well. So if he can hold it, he holds it. If he can't, he pushes it into a safe area. He doesn't do the parry back out all the time into dangerous areas. And over the past few games, especially, I think now he's got a bit more used to English football. he started commanding his box a lot more. He relieves a lot of pressure now on set pieces. If it's near him to come for, he'll come and he claims. And
Yeah.
because he's
think we've
absolutely
missed that a
massive
lot.
and his arms are really long. So it's a really good string to his bow to have to be a keeper who is going to come for those things. And he's pretty quick when he rushes out as well to sweep up. But he's quite the physical specimen, and he seems to have the brain to match at least from what we can see at the moment.
Yeah. My final winner was the weekend. I don't know if he's a Chelsea fan, but what I do know is that the actual physical weekend, both the Saturday and the Sunday, were winners, because all of us, if we support Chelsea, which if you're listening to this show, you hope so, unless you're scouting out for the opposition, we got to enjoy it. It was a win. We got to enjoy it. Then Chelsea's women win as well. Happiness that many of us have not felt in a while, really, when both sides win. And you might not ever see like this ever again with the men's team, because they'll probably go and lose against their next game. So,
the weekend is a Chelsea fan, I believe, because he's released a song about Cole Palmer. It's called Starboy.
Nice,
I'm
nicely
here
done.
all week, folks.
Look, I should have played the Bund. Where was it? There was a Here All Week somewhere sound drop, but yeah. Oh, here comes the money. No, that's the wrong one. There it. Right, Chris, who's the final winner for you?
It's a real quick one. Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's having his best games for Chelsea when he's not here, and I do think we've seen that he's actually probably more important than we all thought he was. Part of that is down to how shit Broly has been, which has got nothing to do with how good Jackson is. But I just think our attack does lack something without Jackson there, because the quality that we're bringing in instead of him when it's not in Kunku just isn't good enough.
Yeah, that's pretty agreeable. So from winners to losers, I have two. So you know what, I will go with my first one, which was just decision making. No one makes winning a game of football look harder than Chelsea. I mean, Manchester United, they're a close rival for this award, but we are the ones to beat, because 90th minute I saw, and instead of just kicking the ball out as hard as we can, I'm watching players attempting the fancy dribble out of the area. Yeah. And all I can say is thank the heavens that we had Alfie Gilchrist on the pitch to just do what needed to be done. Hoof it long.
Have it.
Wow. No, it was like, watch everyone. I'm going to be Eden Hazard and get this ball out the box. No, you're not. No, you're not. And you're going to screw it up. Oh, man. The stress levels at the end of that 90. Oh, man. Yeah. You can run with that if you wish. Go for it. Yeah, I do want to hear you.
Because it's quite similar to what you're saying with the decision making. It's just the attack, generally speaking. Like I said, like I alluded to earlier, the defense and the midfield actually in the game against Fulham was very good. Like the players like Gilchrist, Disasi, who didn't mention in winners, they still had good games. But the attack was where we really let ourselves down. We just looked like, for 90 minutes, more or less, we looked totally out of ideas. Yeah. Like Broya, I mean, I don't know whether he's coming or going, man. Like he really, really struggled in a way that I didn't expect. To be when he's leading the line. He I don't know if he's low on confidence or if he's just not that good, but he's really, really struggling. It seems like ever since he's had his injury and he's lost that half a yard of pace, he doesn't really know how to use his body properly. He doesn't really have the confidence to have courage in the way that he plays, and as a centre forward, that's really important. And Sterling again won the penalty, but wasn't great. When Noni came on, he was all right, but wasn't brilliant. It's just from the attack all round, it was a poor game, and on maybe 9 times out of 10 that game ends.
What do you think, Chris? Who's a loser?
Well, see, now this is where I'm going to say something completely different to everyone else, but I've got the midfield. But hear me out. I think individually, they all had okay games. I thought Enzo was good. I thought Caicedo was good. I thought Gallagher had a poor first half and then got better in the second half. The problem I have with our midfield is they never control a game. So the reason why I think we're making it so hard to win matches is because we have no control over the game. You can go back to Luton a couple of weeks ago. When that got to 3-2, the midfield needed to take control of the game and control the tempo and slow it down when you need to and really get a grip of the game. And they didn't. And it was the same here. When Fulham got on top in the last 20 minutes and we was hanging on, they need to get control of the game and they don't. They're still erratic. They're still giving the ball away sloppily. I mean, Enzo, for as good as he was in this game, he almost gave a goal away with a 5-yard pass he gave away.
Yeah, it was a poor pass that. It was straight into the interception of the player. And that is unforgivable when you're on like the halfway line.
And it's like they've got to learn to control a game because you win or lose games in the midfield. And I just think individually they can have good games, but collectively they just don't seem to be working together in terms of controlling a game. And I think for all of the faults we had with Jorginho and Kovacic, the one thing you could say about those two is there was plenty of games where those two absolutely ran the game. As a pair, they absolutely ran the game, and everyone agreed after the game that, yeah, Jorginho and Kovacic as a two was really good. And then, when you had Kante in there as well and they played as a three, we won most of our games because of that three. So, it's because it certainly wasn't down to our attack. So, we still haven't seen from a £200 million midfield a game where they've controlled it. And I think at some point we need to see that. Otherwise, it's going to be a bigger problem going forward. We're not going to win games consistently if you can't control midfield.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and we're going to lose games against big teams as well that way. Quite easily. You play a Man City or whatever, they'll play you off the park because they'll control the midfield and you won't.
I'll round out my lose. I've got two losers. So my second one was, I'm so sorry, Noni Madueke. My man can do no wrong. He can do no wrong until he did some wrong. And what was that wrong? It was that casual jog when he lost the ball. We had a prime chance on that last counter attack. Could have set up Palmer for a one-on-one with the keeper.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he decided to triple his way into trouble. Oh. Man, I was yelling at my monitor.
If that doesn't tell you the naivety we have in our players in attack in terms of their decision making, what will, right? Yeah. Because that just perfectly encapsulates when we're all looking on our television. Of course, now we've got a bird's eye view, right? So we're a bit lucky. We get to see it a little bit easier what should be done, but these guys are professionals, man. They've got to be able to spot that pass. They've got to be able to make the right decisions in the right moment, because like I said, that could be the difference between winning that and losing the game on a day.
I mean, he's got talent, no doubt, but those final counterattacks just got me frustrated, and I'm hoping put the work in, tighten up that decision making, and that could apply to the entire team considering what happens at the end of games. But hey, Ollie, who are your final losers?
So my first loser is Gallagher. My second to last loser is Gallagher. I thought, especially in the first half, as Chris alluded to, it was really, really poor from him. He played really, really erratically. He was diving in. He just sort of seemed really lost. And part of the reason I think Enzo and Caicedo actually struggled a bit in the second half to control the game was because of his positioning and the way he always wants to go forward and attack people with the ball. The problem is if people play around him, if he goes for the press and he is played around in terms of the press, then there's just a gaping hole in our midfield for someone to move into. And I think he was caught out quite a lot. I think Palhinha had the better of him for most of the game. Just one performance I think to forget for him. No, not his worst, not his best, just not great.
And
my final loser was Fulham, because I wouldn't say that we had our best game by any stretch. I would say that we were reasonably good in some areas, but Fulham were absolutely diabolical. I thought they were really, really poor, especially in a lot of the second half. I thought they were really, really poor. Palhinha seemed to be one of the only ones who was actually doing anything. He seemed to be running their midfield more or less by himself. I thought Anthony Robinson for them did all right when he came on. But other than that, I thought they really struggled.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Chris, who are your final losers?
Broja, but I mean, I think everything that's been said about Broja's been said now, and I just think if we need to raise some money in January, he'd be one I'd be looking at shipping out.
You could get 30-40 million for Broja, right?
Probably. Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, let's face it, people are willing to pay stupid money for average players now. So yeah.
Your profit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that will help.
And then my last one is Mudryk. Just because we're hanging on at home to a 1-0 win against Fulham. And instead of bringing Mudryk on, who you can use on a counter-attack, he brought on Ben Chilwell at left wing again. And I just think I don't get the handling of Mudryk at the minute, because it's like he comes in for 2 games, plays well, drops out for 3 games, and you don't see him. And it's like every time he seems to be getting a little bit of form, he seems to be getting dropped, and I don't get the handling of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's his fault.
I don't
just
understand
don't get
that either.
I don't.
I'm with you on the way he's being treated at the moment, because it does feel weird. Like, I'm not that bothered about him not coming on in this game when he didn't start it, but like certainly at least like one of the cup games, I think he could have done a really good job. And I think specifically Pochettino brought Chilwell on to sort of have more control on that left-hand side, because they were targeting that left-hand side later in the game. And so I do appreciate that in terms of the tactical aspect of it. Poch is trying to defend the lead, but for me, you defend the lead better by, hitting someone on the counter, or you defend the lead best by winning the game 2-0, don't you? Rather than 1-0. And I feel like Mudryk would have been a better choice for that. And you're right, Chris. He's I wouldn't say treated unfairly, but I don't think he's being treated quite right in the way that you would expect to maximize his development.
Emojis for this. I mean, originally I had the Argentina flag because of Enzo, but I guess I'm just going to go with shrug, because after watching the game again, I did realise it was one of them games where it's, again, we'll forget about it in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget about that game in 2 days' time. It was so boring, especially the first half. The first half was absolutely pony. It was so boring.
We're doomed because you've got a winter break now for us, so we're going to already forget about it. What game? Yeah.
I know. I'm going to go with the thumbs up. It's quite basic, quite easy. Got the job done. No more. No less.
I'll go with the shrug as well, because it literally was one of them games.
The red double shrug.
I get people who are saying be happy that we won, and I get that, but at the same time, like, there's got to be a certain amount of standard that we're looking for, and aside from the penalty, can you remember their keeper making a save? Because I can't.
Oh, no. And the thing is as well is you can be happy we won, and I am happy we won, because now we're above Man United and Newcastle in the table. It's starting to look a bit more right for us. And that's really nice to see, but we can also acknowledge that actually the game wasn't that good, the performance wasn't that good, and a penalty got us through. That's okay. Both of those things can be true.
Well, we're above Newcastle. Man United are above us by a point.
They're back above us now because they drew.
So, Lions of the week to check in on. I had Gusto. Berth had Gallagher, and Ollie, I feel like you're the winner today because you had Silva.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a pity choice.
It's consistent.
It's like picking Azpilicueta in like 2015.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
You got a good chance.
You know what I'm going to bring back today, because we're entering the winter break. So, should we check in for a vibe check?
Oh,
haven't played that in a while. So, what is it? I mean, we're forgetting the game already. So, I mean, things are looking up, maybe.
So from all the stats and stuff I'm seeing at the moment, I can't it seems like we're doing really well. Like something like only Liverpool have got more points than us since the end of December or something, or since the start of December, I think it is. And so like things like that really indicate that we're on like a good upward trend. But we had a really easy December.
Yeah,
we got to remember that. We in terms of the games we played, we did have a very, very easy ride of it, and we've got a really difficult run coming up in February, March, where we play it's like a game of like 5, and we play like Arsenal, City, Spurs, Wolves, and Brentford, or something like that.
our December was we beat Brighton, we lost to United, lost to Everton, beat Sheffield United, lost to Wolves. Wow, I remember that. Beat Palace, and then closed the year out with a win over Luton. So
it wasn't even that great, really. It's amazing. It's a miracle we've really managed to like gain some points that didn't come up the table at all, to be honest. Because I don't know the weird. So I guess the vibe for me is like we're a bit like a turtle on a fence post. How did we get up here? You know?
Wow. Okay, Chris, what do you think? What do you think it is at the moment?
I don't know. I do think it's a bit strange at the minute because I do think there are some positive signs in terms of we've won 4 games at home for the first time since like 2020 or something stupid.
Mad that.
Yeah,
which
is insane. But I just feel like it's another sort of false dawn. Remember when Man United was the most informed team in the league because they played the bottom 5 teams.
Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah, and everyone was going out.
Yeah, it's one of them. It feels a bit like that.
Yeah, it does.
I can't.
I would say don't if you're at home, don't get carried away.
I can't really say we've improved until you see performances, and I just think that our performances, even in the wins, haven't been great. I don't know. It just feels a bit at the minute like we're on a bit. It feels like being on a merry-go-round. Like you're moving, but you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I
like that. We've got 2 good analogies.
I bloody love it. Right, we move to the question segment, Charisma's questions, and George got this one in on the Instagram DMs, and he asked, with Newcastle wanting to sign players, that they need to sell some. Would you take Alexander Isak?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I think I mentioned that the other day.
You did. You didn't on Friday, I think.
I think I would take him. The only thing that's put a spanner in the works in that since is the potential movement of someone like Karim Benzema from the Saudi league.
Oh, we'll touch on that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But I do like Isak. I think he's an excellent forward, and I think he would probably provide something a little bit different. He's got a little bit more composure. I say a little bit different. He's probably not massively better than what we've really got now, but he's got a bit more composure, experience, that sort of thing. You know, and that makes all the difference.
He's proven in the Premier League, which makes me actually say yes, pay the club the money. I mean, he averages a goal every other game, but then somewhere deep down in my soul, I just know we'd break him. He'd be injured within 2 days.
Yeah, we probably would break him.
It's the Chelsea way. I mean, yes, no, Chris, what do you think?
Yes, I would take him. It would depend on the price, because my issue with it would be they paid 65 million for him, so they're going to want upwards of 80, I would imagine, minimum.
I'm not sure it is worth it for that money. Like, I think if you're going to buy someone from Newcastle for 80 million, you get Bruno, surely.
Yeah, but Isak is very similar playing style to Jackson. I just think he's a better finisher. I think if you give Isak the chances Jackson's had, I think he scores more goals than Jackson has now. Even his finish the other day was a really good finish against Man City. So
yeah, that was a good goal.
I do think he has. I do think he's got real potential, and again, he is only quite young, so it could be worth the go. You know, we got Demba Ba from Newcastle.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
That's complete. There's nothing to do with each other.
I mean, we also got technically Lloyd Remy as well.
Like, because the thing is like even the ownership's not the same anymore.
No,
like quite literally,
right.
Like nothing about those two things are the same.
On
now.
The topic of strikers, I've got to ask: rumours of Karim Benzema suddenly being available on a short-term loan are trending. So is Roberto Firmino. Chelsea are mentioned because we are a team in sort of desperate need of a goal scorer. Where are our minds at the moment?
I would bite your hand off for Benzema. I would absolutely bite your hand off for him. I listen, all he's done is he's got like a 6 month or 1 year's long sabbatical so far. He's not, and you don't even have to worry about Benzema because in terms of like, oh, you know, if he's getting old, as his pace dropped, because he's never had that much pace anyway. He's been playing the way he's been playing for like 10 years without any pace, you know, so it's not like age is really a factor. For me, this is Benzema, not Benzema, this is Giroud 2.0. for us, but an even better option. And if we don't do it, I think it'll be a massive mistake, because just taking him on a short-term thing, he's a proven goal scorer. He's won absolutely everything there is to win, and he'll demand a lot from his teammates. But he'll also be able to accept having the pressure on him for being one of the best players in the team. It's like a mix of having, Giroud, but if he was like in the Thiago Silva sort of mold. And I think you need that. You need that experienced head leading the line. And the reason you do him over Firmino is Firmino's not a proven goal scorer.
That is fair.
Link-up player,
that is
but
fair.
not a proven goal scorer.
I mean, the blunt truth about most January loan signings is that they're sort of like waiting until Christmas Eve to purchase all your gifts. There's stuff available, but all the good stuff's gone. And I was looking back at loan deals from January to sort of prove my point here. So we've got Kim Källström to Arsenal, João Felix to Chelsea. I love him, but Pato to Chelsea, Weghorst to United, Denis Suarez to Arsenal, Higuain to Chelsea, Quaresma to Chelsea, Kabak to Liverpool, and Corker to Liverpool. But none of those were first choice in that month. And I loved Pato, but he didn't really add. He got injured, unfortunately. Higuain was...
Well, that was a mistake.
That didn't work out. And Felix as well. He's got sent off on his debut, cost us a lot of money. He had glimpses, but he didn't really help us in a sense.
But I think Benzema, the thing is, and I will let Chris talk in a second, but the thing is with Benzema is I think he's better than all of them by a mile in terms of like finishing, his ability, like his the winning mentality, the culture he brings to the club. For me, this seems like a slam dunk, because you don't even block anyone's development either.
What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I wouldn't touch Firmino with a barge pole. He was good a few years ago, but in his last few years at Liverpool, he couldn't score goals regularly for them. And if you can't score goals at Liverpool, you ain't scoring goals at Chelsea, let's be honest.
That's really true.
Wow. Yeah.
And I agree with everything Ollie said about Benzema. But we are Chelsea. So instead of being Giroud 2.0, instead of being Giroud 2.0, Benzema's more Higuain 2.0.
I had that vibe,
Because the issue is that Benzema was brilliant at Real Madrid in his last year there. He went to the Saudi League and didn't score goals there, which is a concern.
That's true.
He hasn't played football for God knows how long. He hasn't even been going. He hasn't even
Boxing Day, I think.
Well, I think
he hasn't even been going to training.
I treat the Saudi League, it's a bit like a sabbatical. That's what he's done. He's gone on a sabbatical where he's not really had to try. He's just trying not to get injured and get paid.
Yeah, and I get that. But then, can you come back then and be physically ready for the most physically demanding league in the world?
That is a good point.
Honestly, I genuinely, for him specifically, I don't think it matters.
And I get what people are saying, that obviously, it wasn't too long ago that he won a Ballon d'Or, and he is better than all those other players you just said. But when we signed Higuain, he had a better goal scoring record than Benzema.
Yeah, that's so true.
And he was absolutely dog shit.
He was dreadful.
We do not have a good track record with signing older strikers. Strikers in general, but older ones specifically. We had Higuain, we had Falcao, which was probably the most ill-fated loan spell in the history of football. It's only really Giroud who worked out. Shevchenko as well, we signed at quite an old age.
I just wonder, is Benzema so good that it doesn't matter? That's genuinely my question. I think, but it's hard to know, isn't it? Because of where he's been for the last year.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. For
me, it's enough to bite the bullet on it, because it's only a 6-month loan or whatever. How expensive can it really be, right? But
okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, really. I'll pop it on the Spotify poll for the listeners to decide as well. We'll close out with Josh, who wants to know what we think are the best footballer names ever. I mean, I actually did a list. I had some time. I got Radamel Falcao, because that's like a falcon, scores goals, apart from for us.
Yeah, obviously.
We've got Roque Santa Cruz, Bastos, Schweinsteiger, and two players who you know these two defenders. You've got the Brazilian defender Iago Pikachu, and of course everyone's favourite Belgian centre half, Mark de Man.
I love that, Mark de Man.
Really?
Oh, what about you, Per? What are your favourite names?
I really like it. For me, like some players just sound like football. It's like from the second they're born. So you got like, of course, Eden Hazard. Of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
he was always destined to be a footballer.
Yeah.
But someone like John Arnorisa as well has a
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant name for football. And my favorite footballer's name of all time is just the I think he's the Italian attacker Kevin Lasagna. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
I like him a
great
lot.
name. Great name. Chris?
Jan Venegor of Hesselink.
Oh, best kit
Just
ever.
because, like, a name so long you can't get it on a shirt.
Oh, they've tried. Oh,
Yakubu, I think was a great name.
That's a good footballer's name. That.
And I like it when their name matches what you give them as a nickname because they had a trait. Do you remember Thomas the Hammer Hitzelsberger?
oh, yes. Oh my word, that's a throwback.
That's a
Great
before
name
my
and
time.
a perfect nickname for a trait that he had because of how hard he hit the ball.
Yeah, his long shots were outstanding.
Speaking of players with good football names who hit the ball really hard, Hulk.
Yeah, we still need to bring him in. I mean, he could be a forward. We could bring in. We've always been linked.
I don't know. Ask Fabrizio. There might be rumours still.
I
You
hope
never know.
so. We'll end the Monday show with a game of Archie Thompson's top trumps. So everyone knows the rules. You got to guess whether it's higher or lower than the previous entry. And this week's category is if you knew what the last few weeks were, you already guessed this week. It's Eredivisie goal scorers.
Oh,
I will
Jesus.
give you this.
God.
Is good. This is good. I'm going to give you a player. You just got to tell me if they've scored more or less goals in the Eredivisie than the previous player.
Let me just recount all of the Eredivisie I've ever watched.
Right.
There's
So,
going to be so much guessing here.
oh, you're going to be shocked at some of these. Shocked. We start with the Leeds. I've put Leeds icon. He didn't play for Leeds. He played for Southampton because clearly I paid attention when I wrote that. But he played for Southampton. Graziano Pella, who scored 64 goals. Now, Chris, did Van Nistelrooy score more?
Oh, yes, he scored more.
He did. He got 75. Now,
The problem with the Dutch league is people don't stay there for very long. If they're
No,
good.
exactly.
Ollie, you've got Hakim Ziyech. More or less than 75.
No, surely less. There's no way he scored that many.
He got 79.
Wow.
He
Fair
got-
enough, Zia.
Wow.
Wow.
Ollie, you've got. No, you haven't.
No,
Chris,
I
you've
haven't.
got. You've got Klaas Jan Huntelaar.
Huntelaar.
Oh,
He
it's
played for
got to be.
Everton
It's
years ago.
got to be more.
It is indeed. It's 154 because he had 2 spells over there.
Is it
Yeah,
Everton
that's
he
what-
used to play for when he was in the Prem?
No, he's never played in the Prem, has he? Huntelaar?
Huntelaar. I could have sworn I've heard it before.
He
said
went
by
to
John
Real
Motson
Madrid
back
and
in the day
Schalke,
or
wasn't
something.
Yeah, Real
Oh,
Madrid.
okay. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Maybe another
He-
Huntelaar.
He went PSV to then Herenveen, Ajax, Real Madrid, AC Milan. Forgot about that. Schalke, and then Ajax, and then Schalke again. I have no memory of his AC Milan spell. Wow. Okay.
Normal.
Wow. Funnily enough, this player did play for AC Milan. John Dahl Thomason, more or less than 154, Ollie.
I'm gonna go with less.
He did. He got 112. And Chris, you've got Dirk Kuyt.
Oh God.
2 spells
Wasn't
as well.
Wasn't a regular goal scorer at Liverpool, but let's face it, in the Dutch league, everyone scores. So I'm gonna say more.
He did. He got 153, just one less than Huntelaar. And what about this famous former Blue, Mattia Kesman? Did he get more or less than 153, Ollie?
Do you know what? I'm gonna say more.
No, it wasn't. No, it was 105. He still broke
Yeah,
the
okay.
century mark.
Still decent though.
But Chris,
Just for reference, by the way, Huntelaar was once linked with Everton, but no.
oh, that counts the club. Chris, you've got Luis Suarez, more or less than 105 of Kesman's goals.
So I just don't think he was there for very long.
He wasn't, was he?
Uh,
Like,
I don't
Just
know how
bounced
long
straight
he
to
was at
Liverpool.
Ajax before he went to Liverpool, but I don't think it could have been long. So I'm gonna say less.
He did. He got 91.
he's not far off though. It shows how
Much, though.
much quality he really had for
I
not
need to-
being there
I-
for very long.
You know what? I need to double check how many years he was there. He was there. He was there for 4 years at Ajax.
Oh, it's longer than I thought.
Oh, that's decent though, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Kesman, I feel like he would have been there a lot longer than 4 years, but 4 years. Let's have a look. Kesman was there for 4 years. Oh, okay. More prolific in the Dutch league than Suarez. Interesting.
There you go.
Interesting.
There you go. Top
you've
Drums
got
always brings out the weird stats.
more,
doesn't it?
more or less than 91. You've got Dusan Tadic.
He was another one, I think, who might have had multiple spells.
Yeah.
And he was really good when he first went there, and he was
Really
pretty good when he went back. I'm gonna say he got more.
He got 119.
There we go.
Much more. And Chris, you've got an old school name to close the show out. You've got Dennis Bergkamp. More or less than 119.
Dutch league.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it?
Well, that'd be in like the 90s.
Because again, Bergkamp's not really a prolific goal scorer. Great player.
No, from the Havertz mold, but good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's almost like an insult.
Yeah,
No, but
that
I said but
definitely
good.
is. I'm going to say less.
He did. He got 103. 2 less than Kesman.
Wow.
I need to check how many games. Was he there for more than 4 years? There's no way he was. No way. Not at Ajax. He's at Ajax for, okay. He was there for 7 years.
Wow.
He was there a
Mikey,
while.
your assumptions have proven not correct on this occasion.
Yeah, he was.
I
Wow.
bet he got lots of assists though, because he was very much a creative striker when he Bergkamp.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to look this up. We've got the good old transfer mark. So let's see. Let's see if he got a load of assists.
Let's see, shall we?
Don't let me down, Dennis.
Anyone who knows this is near the end of the show and wants to click off has done so
Okay.
already. So if you're here,
yeah.
you really want to hear.
He got
this.
103 goals in 185 games. And oh my word, this number, it will stagger you. It was 19 assists.
Wow,
Loads.
Bet he got
that is
loads. Yeah,
That is
Loads.
that
terrible.
really is the Havertz mold.
But
never
here's
mind.
a
Yeah.
fun fact. He got 88 assists in the Premier League for Arsenal and 87 goals.
Yeah.
How
So-
strange. Guess he was utilised differently.
yeah, better.
So, thank you for listening to this episode. Treat yourself well. We'll be back on Friday, probably for some kind of topicy thing, probably a draft, probably do a draft, unless some incredible news where we sign Benzema on a free. I don't know, but we'll probably do a draft. So, till then, that'll be us signing off. You've been listening to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for At the Bridge Pod. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving us a review is always appreciated.